Hello and welcome. It's 11 a.m. in Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyun at the Arirang News Center. We're breaking into our regular programming to bring you a live briefing from the South Korean health authorities on the coronavirus outbreak. In just a few moments, we'll cut into the briefing at the Sejong Government Complex with simultaneous interpretation in English. Yoon Tae-ho, overall officer of disinfection at the Central Disaster Management Headquarters, will be briefing us on the coronavirus situation here in South Korea. He will fill us in on the number of new infection cases seen as of midnight and what kind of efforts the government is making to contain the virus, especially with the recent hike in the number of COVID-19 cases. And to give you a brief idea as we wait, South Korea reported 559 new cases of COVID-19 Wednesday, hiking back over the 500 mark for the first time in more than a week. Of the new cases, 516 were locally transmitted and 43 were from overseas. 7 additional deaths have been reported, with the death toll rising to 1,378. Now let's turn over to the Sejong Government Complex.
We also have identified 61 cases in the makeshift testing centers. We had 7 additional fatalities. I extend my deepest condolences to the deceased and the members of the bereaved families. And here are some updates on our antivirus measures. Yesterday, 69,000 tests were conducted nationwide, and also at the screening centers, we carried out 46,000 tests, while 22,000 tests were conducted at the makeshift testing centers. And we still have much room for further testing. So if you have any suspected symptoms, please visit nearby screening centers to get tested as soon as possible. And as for the medical capacity, here are some updates. We are seeing a decrease in the number of daily confirmed cases, and we are also increasing our medical capacity. And the number of intensive care beds, we have more than 400 beds nationwide, and we also have 199 beds of sub-intensive care beds nationwide, and we also have many beds available for light symptom patients, and we also have 15,000 beds available for these light symptom patients as well. And as for 11 hospitals that are designated to treat high-risk groups, we also have the designated hospitals which are also being secured to treat the patients with high risk factors. And also we have 0 patients who have been waiting for over a day to get to the hospital. And also despite the cold weather and despite all of these inconveniences and difficulties, we extend our deepest appreciation to all of the medical staff members for your efforts. And during the past week, we have seen on a daily average 389 domestic cases on a daily basis nationwide, and we are seeing a hike in the weekend's foot traffic. And especially last weekend, we have seen a 12% on-week rise, and this is a whopping 31% increase from the early January. And we are also seeing a downtrend of the COVID-19, and we are also seeing a hike in our foot traffic, and these mean that we also could see our cases rebound at any time. So we ask the public to always have a sense of vigilance going forward. And lately we are seeing a large cluster infection at the international school run by Mission Group, and here are some quarantine responses. And as of 10 p.m. yesterday, we have identified 297 confirmed cases, and we also are conducting on-site monitoring for about 40 facilities that are related to the Mission Group. And we also gave an administrative order to test all the people in relation to the 32 facilities that are also subject to the testing, and we will be carrying out massive testing going forward. And in order to also alleviate any quarantine gray area, we will also intensify our measures to intensify quarantine for these non-accredited international schools as well as other educational facilities. And especially these kind of international schools, they are also classified as dormitory type private education cram schools, and they will also be subject to the same kind of criteria for the quarantine protocols. And all of these people need to comply with quarantine measures, and they will be only be operated restrictively only given that they comply with these measures stringently. And also, as for these educational facilities that are run during the weekend, we also will be classifying them as religious facilities. And this means that all of the gatherings, physical gatherings, will also be banned at these kind of facilities. And they will be banned from dining together and also spending night together. And also we have some updates on the quarantine measures here in South Korea as well. And starting from last week, we also carried out about 50,000 on-site inspections for those are prone to cluster infections, and about 7,000 of them have been subject to the administrative orders. And the local governments also have been carried out special inspection for about 17,000 religious facilities nationwide. While most of these facilities complied with the measures, about 100 of them have been subject to the investigations for breaching the quarantine measures. And aside from them, cafes and singing rooms, as well as other type of public operations, we will also carry out continued operations. And yesterday we carried out 22,000 inspections for about 23 business operations, and we also carried out some investigations for breaches of these quarantine measures. And we also would like to extend our deepest appreciation to all of the members of the public for your participation in the quarantine measures. And also, as for the Lunar New Year holiday, we also have planned to provide some remotely provide some cultural contents, and the Culture Ministry will also aim to provide these cultural contents, and we will be having a special channel to provide remote contents to the public, and they will be given free of charge during the Lunar New Year holiday. And during this Lunar New Year holiday, not only Culture Ministry but also other local governments as well as other institutions, public institutions, will also be providing integrated services as well. And the Ministry of Welfare has recently stated that we have one staff member who have been confirmed with the COVID-19, and here are some updates. And as this person has had close contact with the Minister of Welfare, he has been tested, and he also has tested negative, and he is on self-quarantine. We are currently conducting our epidemiological investigation, and we are currently further testing any people who have become into contact with this personnel. However, there are no more people who have tested positive for the virus. And we are currently seeing the third wave still unfolding right now. And despite the dedications and sacrifice of many, we are seeing our daily tally hovering around 400. We cannot become complacent with the hike in the temperature, and if we stay complacent this week, we believe that this could lead to a massive outbreak during the Lunar New Year holiday. And we have also experienced these repeated rebound in the cases previously. And as you saw in the international school with the cluster infection, any 3C environment, which is closed, confined, and crowded environment, could also be a venue for a high and a large-scale, massive outbreak. So please avoid going to these 3C environments. And if you have to go to these places, please comply with quarantine measures at all times. And also, if you have any suspected symptoms, please visit the screening centers as soon as possible to get tested. And if you have a moment of complacency, the COVID-19 virus can also spread the virus to your loved ones as well. And thanks to the participation by the public, we have seen a downward trend of the COVID-19, and we also ask for your continued participation going forward. And the government will also exert our full efforts so that you can return to your state of normalcy as soon as possible. Thank you very much.
지금부터 질의응답 시간을 가지겠습니다. 배석자분께서는
Now, that was a government briefing. You just heard updating us on the latest COVID-19 situation in South Korea, which confirmed 559 new cases on Wednesday, bringing the accumulated total to over 76,000. There was 7 additional deaths. That does it for our coverage this morning's briefing. We'll be back at 12 p.m. Korea time with our midday news with Mark Broom. Bye for now.